Hello there, Brooks.
Hi, Baron. Whoa, big sip there.
I know, I gotta get ready. It's early in the morning. We've kind of.
Yeah, it's early. Baron's already drinking his freaking old fashioned. We are
Okay.
locked in today.
I say early, it's almost 10 a.m., but,
That's
you
early
know,
for me.
yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
summertime, people sleep in, not much going on. But, it kind of feels the same way about sports, right? I mean, we have had last episode, we talked about how there's not much going on in football. Then we proceeded to speak about football for about 40 minutes. Fancy
Yeah.
that. But today we're definitely going to cover some more of the variety of sports going on around the world, not just the country, because obviously we are still in the final or the World Cup down to the final four. We'll have some more to talk about that. Have some basketball, have some baseball, even some video game coverage. I know we don't usually talk about college football and Madden, but what better time of the year to do it than now? So, without further ado, let's jump right.
Welcome to the greatest podcast on earth. Nothing agreed. We have a great show for you tonight, so stay tuned and buckle up.
And we're back. Sorry.
Back with the boys.
That's right.
Another episode, nothing agreed. Today, Baron. We are going to talk about a lot. We're going to try to do it quickly. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. It's been the sleep schedule has been overtaken by the summer. So
Yeah.
I literally just woke up and it's like 6 a.m.
I mean, you
Um,
must still be jet lagged a little bit.
no, I
Okay.
mean a little bit. The thing is like I'm not. I guess I am jet lagged because I haven't really changed my sleep schedule. So
Okay.
like I need to pull an all nighter to do that. So
I
and
guess.
I don't want to pull an all nighter.
I mean,
So
again, I've never really been to Mexico, so and I think of going international, that means complete time zone change. I guess it was you were in what Mountain Time, Coastal or
yeah,
Pacific
mountain time,
time. So
2 hours
yeah,
behind.
it's really not that bad to be
It's not that
honest.
bad. But
But
the issue was that we'd work so late, like 3 in the morning.
oh
It would
good
be
God.
5 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like Eastern. So it was like, damn.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, last time I was jet lagged, it was a 8 hour difference I had, so that was rough getting adjusted.
What was that? Because that's not Italy.
No, that was France. I
France.
guess it was 6 hours, not eight, but
Yeah, France. I think is six, not eight.
yeah, whatever.
I was
Anyway,
like eight. Eight. You're pushing. I think like the Middle East and like
I feel
Eastern
like I
Eastern
feel like
Europe.
Italy. Let me double check that. You keep
Italy's a
talking,
6 hour
but
difference.
okay,
Italy's a
I
6 hour
trust
difference.
you. I trust you. I'm not
Yeah.
that smart,
I think
but
Eastern Europe is an 8 hour difference.
yeah,
Like when you're
you're
pushing like Belarus.
well. No, it's Oh yeah, no, you're right. It is 6 hours. Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay.
I
Anyway,
know, right?
okay, whatever. But
I'm
yeah,
talking to the European coded soccer guy about time zones. Come
you
on.
know what? That's true. I've seen you stay up to ungodly times just to watch Korean baseball. So, um,
Whoa.
don't act like you haven't.
Lover of the sport, all right? That's what I gotta say.
Yeah, lover of making money. Anyway,
Dinos for the win.
yeah, investigate you. Anyway, we have sports to talk about, right? Obviously, like we mentioned in the intro, not a lot of football action going on at this time of the year, except for maybe the virtual world of football. But we'll get to that later. For now, we kind of had a last minute segment on basketball. Last episode, it was a little. Actually, I think it was a decent sized chunk. Talked about the big moves, mainly the trades, free agent signings, how the league's kind of been shaping up. But now we're just waiting on one guy, right? It's the part four of the decision, whatever you call it. His
Yep.
big announcement. LeBron James still has yet to pick a team. Definitely the longest into the summer he has been a free agent. Now, not much has changed since the last time we talked about it. There were a couple of reports that came out, one being that teams started to send video pitches. I don't know if you saw the Luke Cornett one, but that one was kind of funny from the Spurs.
Yeah, I hate that
Um,
guy.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, teams definitely seem interested in wanting a guy like that on their team. Obviously, he brings a lot of variety of basketball skill to the team to coach your young guys, pair with your veterans. He's a very well-rounded player. Offensively, he can be a scorer if you need him. He can be a facilitator if you need him, or just be a guy that can just give you quality minutes. So definitely a role for him on any team. But it was down to, I believe, 3 or 4 teams last time we spoke, that being the Cavs, the Heat, the Sixers. I know the Warriors has gained a little more traction, at least in the gambling odds, since we last spoke. But Rich Paul, also the agent of Anthony Davis, has come out and said that that trade will not happen. So the Warriors' attempt to get LeBron on their roster will not involve an Anthony Davis trade. So we will see what that means for their pitch. But I guess another pitch that kind of came out is the money is not about it, neither as much as winning a championship. It's more about happiness and team fit. That's kind of what LeBron is looking for. And when you hear that, just wanting to be a place where he's comfortable outside of basketball as well, I think a lot of people assumed Cleveland, right? That's where he was from. It's his hometown. Bring the family back home and just run it back with actually not a bad roster that fits his talents. That would be nice for him, right? But then Brian Windhorst went on, I don't know if it was NBA Today or Get Up or one of those ESPN shows, but he went on there, and since his career has been made on kind of reporting about LeBron, you kind of take his reports about that pretty seriously, and he went out and said, according to an anonymous source, he will not be going to Cleveland. So now I think a lot of heads are turned at Miami, again, a place he's familiar with. A place he called home for a little while, a good place to bring the family. I mean, who doesn't want to live in Miami, especially high life Miami? But that does not rule out the Philadelphia 76ers or the Golden State Warriors. I think that also made the Warriors gain a little traction with that familiarity between Steph Curry, Draymond Green, even Steve Kerr, a guy that's kind of been in the league for most of the time LeBron has been. So there's definitely a familiarity with that team going up against them all those times in the finals and in the regular season, all those big matchups they had when he was a Cleveland Cavalier, even a Los Angeles Lakers. So I guess now, Brooks, you still think he's going back to Cleveland? What do you think?
2 more teams are in the running now, from what I heard.
Okay.
And that is Minnesota Timberwolves.
Mm-hmm.
And the Denver Nuggets.
Okay.
Those 2 teams are also in the running, according to Rich Paul.
Okay.
So, 6 teams in there. Where do I think he's going to go? Brian Windhorst, anonymous source. I don't care. It's going back to Cleveland. He's going back to Cleveland. I mean, first of all, did you see the videos or the pictures and all the stories with Donovan Mitchell, with
I saw
Max
some of them.
Strus?
Some of it.
All of them were playing golf together with Bron. I mean, Bron's he's gonna go back to Cleveland. He's gonna go back to Cleveland. I again, my theory. I'm gonna hold on to my theory because LeBron retirement tour not in Cleveland would be a little interesting because I think this is his last year. I do. I think this is his last year, and he's just choosing where he wants to go for his final year. If it's not Cleveland, it's gonna be a weird ass retirement tour. So I'm gonna hold off, and I'm gonna say Cleveland. And I'm going to stick to Cleveland unless something crazy happens to where I have to flip my pick. But it's going to be Cleveland. No way it's not. Cleveland is still less than like a 50% chance because of how many teams, but I'm picking Cleveland. It's his hometown. It's where he plays. It's home. It's comfort. All that.
I mean, I tend to agree with you, especially with the golfing situation. But again, that could just be part of the pitch. Come check out the golf courses in Cleveland. Again, not much to do in Cleveland. Obviously, I don't know if you remember that one YouTube song about Cleveland, but
I can sing the entire thing for you.
All right, well, maybe not now. There's some profanity in there, but we can maybe put a link to it below. But yes, Cleveland obviously not known for much outside of its sports. LeBron coming back there definitely would boost the economy, boost the market, get a lot of people excited. Because I don't think anyone's really excited about the Browns or the Reds. So I don't even know if they have a hockey team, to be honest. But anyway, yeah, I don't see how it really couldn't be Cleveland, to be honest. I am a little intrigued that he hasn't announced a retirement tour yet. I think that announcement would probably come once he picks a team to sign with.
Yes.
depending on where he goes. Because, again, if he feels like he has 2 more years left, then he might want to hold off on a retirement tour and actually maybe try and compete for something, despite reports that he's not interested in it. But we know how he feels about legacy and wanting to be considered as the greatest of all time. And to most people, he already is, but I don't know. You still have people on national television, at least, a guy like maybe even Stephen A. Smith, who undisputably will not accept that, and maybe he feels some way by that. So we'll just kind of see how it goes. Again, that's kind of the biggest thing in the NBA. Some more I can think of. John Morant is kind of in the media this week talking about how he doesn't understand why he's still seen as a villain. Me neither, really. I don't think I've really heard of his on-court performance in the last 2 years, whether it's injury or just poor team performance, poor individual performance. But definitely needs a new start for him. And I think, again, I still think that Trailblazers team will be a playoff team. Adding John Morant makes that roster better. Obviously, you lose some wing play and some depth to get him, but again, you pair a guy like him with Damian Lillard, a guy like John Morant who can play well on ball but plays really well off the ball, and a guy like Damian Lillard who plays really well on ball. I'd really like to see that. Other news, though, we have some summer league action. What is his name? Caleb Wilson putting up the most points in a summer league debut, 35 points. Very impressive, a good sign for the Chicago Bulls, for a team that is looking to be competitive once again. You like to see that from your young guy. Obviously, you have Daryl Peterson. He's been putting on a show. I think he's dropped 20-plus every game he's played. He went up against AJ. How do you say the last name? AJ Debansa? Something like that. And that was a good matchup as well. I think a lot of people were excited to see that. And, yeah, you're getting what you expect out of the top picks. Obviously, there's some guys who don't look great. But again, Summer League, we don't buy too much into it. You see all of the other guys who, again, everyone's just trying to get their image out there, get their brand out there, let teams know that they're worth a roster spot. Maybe if it's even on a G League team for now, they're just trying to compete hard. So it's good to see that the top guys that were drafted are playing well.
I would say this. I would say Summer League to me is the best kind of – it's not even a preseason. It's a little different than a preseason. But to me, it's the best non-regular season, non-postseason, trophy international thing. More just like sport that is kind of a preseason in any of the major 4 American sports. To me, because preseason in the NFL, it's like you see your guy one drive and then he's done, right? Baseball preseason is barely even a thing, to be honest. I mean, you have what is it? You have the winter meetings, and then you have spring ball, you have spring training, and spring training is kind of like summer league ball, but to me a little worse. You're just there if you really enjoy the sport, and then NHL, I couldn't even tell you. I think NHL is just straight preseason games as well. So I think summer league, the way that it focuses on putting rookies together alongside other young talent, and then people who are from like the G League and the D League trying to push up. Or the G League kind of push up, really good, like the concept. To me, still never be as topped as the 2017 Lakers with Lonzo, Kuz, all those boys. That was a fun time in the summer league. So, but yeah, no, I actually tuned into that AJ and DP matchup, which was fire. So, yeah. Also, Darren Peterson 9 fouls his first game.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested how that. I didn't really know that they just don't foul out in that, but
yeah.
I guess again, young players still learning the NBA for a lot of them and the difference between. So obviously, you don't want the whole team's fouling out, but yeah, like you said, it's a great spot for rookies to highlight their skills, show why they should be drafted. But again, I do agree with you. I do think it is a very helpful and I guess just an advantage for players just to show off their skill set because, like you said, many preseasons it's not very competitive. It's just kind of players getting back into the reps of things. But for the summer league, these guys are fighting to make rosters. Like it is very competitive. They're showing out. They're trying their hardest to prove that they're worth something. So you see good games, you see good matchups, and you see players giving it their all. So it's definitely a something needed when we're in a drought like we are right now. So very exciting. Excited to see the championship, see who makes the playoffs. However that seeding works. I think it's just like the top 4 teams, and then there's a semifinals and finals. I don't really remember, but I don't want to pay that much attention. But I am appreciative for what it is. I like to see the box score, see the highlights. All fun and games, right?
That's what Adam Silver wants, a highlight league. He said
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah, he needs to go. But that is a discussion for another time. But speaking of Final Fours, obviously the World Cup is down to its Final Four teams.
Whoa.
I can only tell you three, being Spain, not the Netherlands, Spain, England, and Argentina. I forget the fourth one. But yeah, I'm gonna let you kind of take it from there because I don't know much about it.
So we got Spain and France on Tuesday,
That
Baron.
was it.
Spain has the last 2 games in, I guess, tournament play. Spain won the Euros in 2024, 2-1. Screamer from Yamal in the 20 around the 28th minute mark, make it 2-1. Fire game kind of went down from there, but Spain won, beat them in the semifinals, and then won the Euros, which is the World Cup, but for only European teams. And then they have the Nations League, which is another kind of small tournament, to be honest, but they won 5-4. Spain was up 4-0. France went and scored 4 goals and made it 5-4, but then fell. So it's either France goes back to the World Cup back to back or back to back to back 2018, 2022, and 2026, 3 times in a row in the final, or Spain makes it for the first time since 2010, their only World Cup win ever. Kind of surprising, to be honest. So yeah, that should be a good game. You have Mbappe, Yamal. I picked Spain at the start of the tournament, so I feel like I have to rock with Spain. Not as like a fan, but just who I'm going to take. Now, if I was a betting man, I would take France. The other side, England and Argentina. England's the favorite. Never trust England in a major tournament ever, to be honest. And I know Argentina's looked very, what's the word, shaky. But all I'm going to say is they have FIFA on their side. So I'm going to take Argentina and I'm going to take Spain into the final of the World Cup 2026. I wouldn't be surprised if Argentina won at all. I'm going to still take Spain. But yeah, Baron, I think you have to, if you can, tune into these games. They will make you fans of the sport. I had so many people come to me being fans of the sport. You got to watch these games. They're awesome. 3 o'clock, Tuesday, Wednesday.
We'll see. Again, I don't know how much I've watched plenty of soccer in my time, and I don't know something about it to me. But yeah, sorry, but it's okay. We have you to cover about it, so I don't really need to. But yeah, I mean, World Cup brings lots of stories, lots of heartbreak, lots of thrill, and just good feelings. Again, lots of new fans to the sport, like you said, new fans to players. Any other storylines really you want to mention, talk about that's been kind of going on this World Cup? I know we haven't got a ton of coverage in it as it went on, so kind of want to get it all out now. I know you're the big expert on it all. Again, big USA Today writer coverage, so just let it go. Let's hear it.
Big storylines that would actually be prevalent right now. If I were to bring up big storylines, they'd all be controversies, and I don't want to do that.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say Jude Bellingham's big storyline. 6 World Cup games in his career, 6 goals, which is great. He scored 2 in Mexico, 2 against Norway. He's on fire. That's a big storyline as well. But other than that, there's been a lot of transfers in the club level. And a transfer baron it's a little bit different than how we do it in American sports. But basically, think about it as in you can become a free agent in the sport. If you become a free agent, you can get signed for free. All you have to pay is, just like the NFL, you have to pay the salary, the contract to the player. But you can technically buy players off other teams while they're on contract. So it'd be like, hey, Philadelphia Eagles, we're going to pay you $150 million for Jalen Hurts. And then they get the rights to Jalen Hurts. And then they sign Jalen Hurts to a new contract, whatever team that would be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, a lot of players are moving from one team or another right now. Other than that, honestly, most of the storylines have kind of come down to these are the Giants. These were technically the 4 best teams in the FIFA rankings,
Okay,
and they're in the top 4. So
gotcha.
it's been
And
not straight chalk, but chalk for the big teams.
and correct me if I'm wrong, but did we do a lot of coverage on the U.S. team last episode?
I think we talked about the game a little bit,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was
Well,
heartbreaking. So
I just kind of wanted to ask you, what do you think the future is for USA soccer? Kind of, I know this season was kind of unexpected. I don't think a lot of people had, or this World Cup, I don't think a lot of people had the U.S. soccer team going very far, not being a very experienced team, like, at least against all the other teams they were going up against. But they won a lot of games, surprised a lot of people. So yeah, where do you see the future of American soccer from here?
well, Baron, you put up a good point and also a point that I need to clarify. They did win a lot. They did win a good amount of games. They won 3, which at a World Cup, 3 wins is pretty solid. But since the tournament expanded, they went from a round of 16 to a round of 32, and the U.S. lost the round of 16, which they've done 4 of the last 5 tournaments. So technically, they ended up in the same spot as they
Okay.
should have before. So you can talk about progress being made. I can see what you mean, but also technically, from a historical standpoint, they didn't really make any progress. If I were to go on my whole probably U.S. men's tangent, this would probably take about 20 to 25 minutes. For Baron, you probably don't know this, so I'll try to make it within 2. And that is the U.S. team, I think, is going to stay the same. I think it's really going to stay the same. And the one reason why is, Baron, in other countries, it costs about $150 to $200 a year to put your kid into like a young
Hmm.
kid, and then growing
Yes,
up into
I saw
a
these points. Yeah,
academy.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you heard anything about this?
It's just that, yeah. I mean, club soccer. Again, I grew up around people that did club soccer. I did it for a little while. I know it's very expensive. I mean, any club sport, I feel like, really is. Um, and I think the other thing is just the cultural aspect of it, right? Like, if you're very athletic in America, you're not encouraged to play soccer. You're encouraged to play basketball. You're encouraged to play football. You're encouraged to play baseball. Those are where the big money sports are in this country. You're just not like, if you're an athletic prodigy, I just feel like you are not encouraged to play soccer. And again, there's obviously some athletic ability that comes with playing soccer versus playing football. But I mean, I think the biggest story I can think of is look at Brandon Aubrey, right? He was a really good college soccer star. I forget. I think he played at Florida, right? I don't know if I'm remembering that, but played somewhere. He was a really good soccer college player. Went to the NFL because of his kicking ability, and I think that's just. And I think if you look at a lot of NFL kickers, a lot of them have soccer backgrounds. So even in that aspect, like, I just think, again, it's a whole culture thing. You're not incentivized to play soccer when you're from America. You're incentivized to play other sports, and I think that's going to be a reason why, unless, again, the whole cultural changes and soccer becomes bigger. And I think that's why you look at the success or perceived success that this team had, and you hope that kind of rolls the ball a little for American soccer. But until then, I kind of agree. I don't think the sport for us is going to go anywhere.
Well, to put it this way, if you're playing college soccer, Baron, you're not great in the U.S. You're good. You're really good, but you're not great. Some players in the U.S. team have played college soccer and made the U.S. team. That is true. But by the time you're 15, 16, 17, 18, you should be going to play at Atlanta United, at FC Dallas, or even playing in Europe, like going to Europe. In Europe, you have guys who start playing at 15, 16, 17, 18 professionally. Like, again, put it in American football context. Imagine if AJ Brown was lined up across a 16-year-old. That's how it works in Europe. Like, these guys play when they're young, like Yamal started playing it professionally at 15 and a half. He started being amazing at like 16 and 17. So, I mean, Arsenal has the youngest debutant, maybe, and Ethan Nwaneri started playing at 15. We had a guy score for this year who is the equivalent of a freshman in high school. Like, crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my issue with the sport in the U.S. is that it costs upwards of like 20,000 a year, 15,000 a year to play club soccer because
Hmm.
of coaching, travel, all these fees, instead of it being covered. So the system is broken, and it's not going to be good until it's fixed because a lot of great players are can't afford it, so they can't do it. You talk about also um, a lot of players being pushed to the other sports. I agree to some extent. However, I think soccer statistically is the number one played most youth sport,
Oh, it
which just
definitely
means
is.
volume but not talent. So I see what you mean on that end, but still, there's a lot of volume. So you can pick out talent from that volume.
Hmm.
So
I just
yeah,
again, I don't disagree. Like I said, I completely agree with that stat. I'm sure soccer is the most played. Again, everyone I knew played it growing up. It's
mhm,
just when it comes down to it, this is a country about money, and yes, if you're really good at soccer, you can go overseas, make a lot of money, but why not stay in country and be an NFL kicker, make millions of dollars doing that? If you're fast, you're a wide receiver, running back, you can go play basketball. If you have I mean, yeah, if you're just great at running, throwing, kicking, there's just no incentive to really be good at soccer in this country when you have all these other major leagues that just pay so
exactly.
much for athletics that yeah, you can have. And I
And
think to some, like you said, club, I think that's also just becoming more expensive across the board. You see club basketball teams, club football teams now. Those are pretty new to be honest, but those exist now. Club baseball. And again, I'm a guy who played a lot of club lacrosse, and that's even not even a big sport in this country, but just the money that comes from putting your kids through that is, yeah, it's very expensive across the board. And I think there are sports like basketball or football that have these opportunities for kids that don't have that money or families that don't have that money to kind of showcase their skills. You just don't really have that with soccer. You have to, like you said, you have to be in these good club programs, and that's kind of how you get noticed, and that's just kind of unaffordable for a lot of people.
I will say, um, we've seen, like I said, we've seen people make the U.S. men's national team from college. But one big thing as well about college is that, especially football, right? I think football's best because there's not like the big club kind of sports.
Yes, no, exactly.
Is that when you make it to college, you are being paid. There's NIL now. You are being paid, and
And
some of
the,
these guys in
and
college are
it's
getting
and in some high
paid
schools you could be paid now
exactly
in certain
under the
states.
table kind of things too as well. Now high schools are
Hmm.
paying for these recruits, so you can make it in high school now, making money. So these sports, if you get pretty good, you're making money really young. Not soccer, baseball, probably not a little bit of baseball, but baseball also once you're at the college level and you play really well in college, you're going to make money. Basketball and football, those two sports are going to make you money.
Hmm.
So, yeah, baseball, big thing for money in the MLB. And there's a little bit in college, but not much. But still, you're going to make a good amount of money compared to
And
college soccer. You won't make money.
And yeah, and one last point, even on the cultural standpoint, like my high school was very big. We had a sports team for almost every sport,
Yep.
and our soccer team was actually really, really good.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it competed state, won a few, at least with my time. I know it's won a few in its lifetime, and vice versa. Our football team was horrible. I actually don't remember a time it was good. I was even there. Or even when I grew up, I don't really remember a time when it was very good. But you just look at the standpoint of who shows up for football games and who shows up for basketball or for soccer games. And again, I think we had a pretty good soccer game attendance, but I never went to one. I know a lot of my friends who never went to one, but we're going to show up to watch our team lose 60-0 for a football game. And I think that's just kind of the other cultural differences. That's just what you grow up around. That's what you see. And then I know almost every major school in America is going to have a football team, and I'm sure they have a soccer team as well. But it's just the difference in culture. So we'll leave it at that. Moving along, obviously we are in the middle of the MLB. All-Star Game is right around the corner. Home Run Derby, all of that fun stuff. And I know there's been some controversy on the All-Star selections, some snubs. I think a lot of snubs, really, from what I've seen in reports and people online. But again, I'm still fairly new to the sport, so this is more of your coverage as well. I'm going to let you take it away. We got a little MLB segment for today. Go for it.
I'm going to make the MLB segment as quick as possible, Baron.
Okay.
Um, Christopher Sanchez, your Philadelphia Philly, will start in Citizens Bank Park against Dylan Cease at the All-Star game.
I
Very
saw
cool.
that.
You were
Yes.
right. The All-Star game did have a couple snubs. The biggest one probably being Zach Wheeler of the Philadelphia Phillies. That's one that's been the most talked about. He was offered a replacement spot for the
And he
All-Star game.
turned it down.
Just turned it down.
Yes.
Now, personally, I would have taken it, but he said it was disrespectful. At the
I
end of the
agree.
day, no one's going to remember that much. They're going to remember how many All-Star appearances you had, not how it was disrespectful. Just
True.
saying.
That
So
is
I
true.
think legacy-wise, you should have done it. Now, I always think the All-Star game for the MLB is the best All-Star game. I do. I'll always stand on that. I think the Home Run Derby, they always change the rules every year. We all know it's system they should go back to. They're doing swings this time. Swings is okay. They need to go back to the out system. The out system was much better. Whatever. Other than that, for the MLB, Baron, the one big storyline that looms over the MLB is the lockout, is the CBA. The CBA is the biggest story, and right now the biggest fight is for a salary floor and a salary cap. So that's the biggest kind of storyline I want to talk about. Baron, you are not much of a baseball guy. You are not. So I think we're going to do a nothing agreed special segment right here for about 5 seconds.
Oh
And
boy.
Baron, we're going to become like a news station right here. And we're going to do a poll, all right,
Okay.
of one person. So this is
Okay.
going to be a very weighted poll.
Okay.
Baron, if the MLB added a salary floor and a salary ceiling,
Mm-hmm.
a salary cap, would that make you at all any more interested in the sport?
I would say yes. Brief reasoning. I know that there's a lot of sentiment that what's the point of the regular season? The Dodgers are just going to win it. They have the most money, tight end and star players, all of that. Yankees kind of, at least from what I've seen, kind of sit on that line as well. A lot of money tied into star players. And you consistently see teams sit at the bottom of the league, just don't have the pull that these top teams have because, again, there's no caps. So you have the appeal. You can come play with all these stars. You have such a good chance at winning for, again, personal legacy. So, yeah, I do think that helps. Obviously, kind of ironically enough, I was doing some research into NFL salary cap as well. When did that start? What did that kind of look like? And yeah, I think that's kind of the same thing. You look at the Super Bowl winners up until the point where the NFL introduced a salary cap, and they were kind of consistently the same teams at the top, just the historically good teams we always talk about. And then that salary cap was introduced, and you start to see teams. I mean, even now, I feel like we're starting to see the effects of it still take place. You see teams that have never made Super Bowls before start to make them in this century. You see teams that have never won Super Bowls before start to win them this century. If not even Super Bowls, you see conference championship appearances, deep playoff runs, teams making playoffs. So I think it's very cool to like just see how that helps level things out, makes everything more fair and even. And yeah, I think it'd be pretty interesting for anyone looking to go look at all the teams who have never even won a Super Bowl before the NFL salary cap and now look at that list today. It's pretty cool to see. So I would say that.
I will say one thing that has defined the MLB in their argument against the salary cap, which has kind of got erased the last 2 years, or last year, but in all of the 21st century, the Dodgers are the first team to go back to back. There was always a different champion every year from at least the last winning champion. So the Yankees went back to back to back, and all the way to 2000, and then from 2001 onwards, it was all new champions. It was all new champions, new champions, new champions. And there was repeats, as in there was teams that won multiple in the 21st century,
Mm-hmm.
but it was not back to back. So it was always a new winner every year. Meanwhile, in the NFL, right? In the NBA used to have
Yeah.
back to backs
Yeah,
in that
a lot.
21st century. Now
Yeah.
they've had 8 different champions in 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Baseball never had that problem. Now the Dodgers went back to back. They are the favorite right now to win it for a third straight year. I wouldn't be surprised if they're a favorite to win the fourth straight year if there's not a lockout. So I think a salary cap, honestly, I'm not going to say ruins the wrong word. I think it just changes the dynamic of the sport. But I think the biggest thing for me is I think a salary cap will make small market teams a little bit more competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot wait to see that. If that is the case, if they do that and that's not the case, then that sucks. So, yeah.
And again, from my kind of understanding is that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but to me at least, I feel like the MLB draft specifically doesn't have that much of an impact for the team overall, at least immediately, right? You look at a sport like the NBA, where a first overall pick for the NBA, that can change your franchise for years to come. Let's look at some of the most recent first round picks: Victor Wembanyama, Cooper Flag, those teams. And again, the Mavericks getting that pick is a little bit questionable. Insider trading, whole part of the secret part of the Luka trade. But we can get to that another time, conspiracy theories. But let's especially look at the Victor Wembanyama trade, right? The Spurs were kind of, I'm not going to say historically bad, but they're on the downturn and for a while, and now they just made the finals because they have a player like Victor Wembanyama on their team. Again, he's a guy, one player can come in and kind of change your franchise. Not all the way around, but it can definitely make it for the better. And again, the NBA has its issues about their lottery and if it's rigged, how rigged is it, blah, blah, blah. But look at the NFL especially, right? It may not be as impactful, but players that are taken in the first round of an NFL draft can usually come in and make immediate impact for a team. And I wouldn't say, again, compared to the NBA where one player can make so much of an impact, one player on an NFL team, depending on what position, can definitely make an impact, help improve your team. I'm definitely all for salary cap, especially when, to me at least, free agency and the ability to sign top tier talent and handle that and keep your top end talent is a lot more impactful to improving your roster than, say, rebuilding with a draft.
Here's what I'll say about the MLB draft. You're right. It's not one of those things where you just take a guy and then it turns your franchise around like the NBA, because, of course, there's a lot more positions and a lot more that happens in baseball. What's funny about the MLB draft is because the MLB calendar is different than the high school and college baseball calendar, you have some funny little things that can happen. For example, they just added a lottery system. I'm never a proponent of a lottery system. But I digress. The White Sox had the second worst record last year. They won the lottery. They picked first. Baron, they went 60 and 102. I was looking at the exact record. I want to make sure 60 and 102. That was the second worst team. In 2026, Baron, they are actually winning their division. They are 50 and 45. They are at top of their division, and then they pick first, right? It's very funny how the MLB draft works. So, also, it is a thing like that. There have been players that have been selected and then played that year in the MLB, but usually it's a multi-year thing. You're drafting a guy at 18, 19 who in baseball is a little bit of a different prime sport to me. Hopefully they get their kind of nod their head in 21, 22 at some good age. But baseball, you can play till you're 35, 36. Depending on your position, you can go till you're 40 or 41 if you're in a non-mobile position. So, yeah, a little bit different on the primes there. But baseball has a whole different system. Let's see if there's a lockout. Just wanted to ask you. Other than that, Baron, I think it's time we talk about what this show is known for.
And that is football.
Football. Now, Baron, I don't know if you have anything pressing on your mind, but I think I have a couple fun ideas in games here.
Okay.
That you may or may not like. I at least have, I think, 4 on my dome right now. But let's just get right into it. Maybe we can think of more. Baron, there's something that every single media company that works with, or I guess not media company, but the actual league will be like, this is the first time ever, or this is a first time in a long time. Da, da, da.
Mm-hmm.
So let's play a game of firsts, Baron. Let's play
Okay.
a game of firsts. First, who is someone on your radar that is playing for a new team for the first time? And when I say that, I mean, for example, an A.J. Brown to the Patriots, right? Somebody that is going to play on this team for the first time, not a rookie. Baron, is there someone that jumps out to you that you're looking forward to playing in week 1?
Yeah. I know we kind of talked about this briefly, but I'm kind of interested in this whole David Montgomery to Houston situation, right? Obviously, this is a guy who has played a majority of I think all of his career at the Detroit Lions. Kind of split carries. I think first it was with DeAndre Swift, then it was with Jahmyr Gibbs. And obviously he's going to be splitting carries, but I think now is the first time in his career, at least, that he will be seen as the lead back. And when you look at Houston's team overall, again, phenomenal defense. I expect it to be the best in the league this season. Always kind of the question is, what does that offensive line look like? I think they've done a better job this season, at least they have in the last few seasons, at bolstering that offensive line. That helps them out a lot. Solid wideout. We won't get too far into the C.J. Stroud discussion. We know how everyone feels about him, especially Kendrick Perkins. But I just think that his ability to kind of be impactful will really impact this team a lot, right? We've seen teams recently, and again, trying not to be biased, but when you have a good defense, you have a good run game, passing game doesn't have to be best in the league, even when this is a pass-first league. So if he can be impactful, if he can kind of come in and give what he's been able to give the Lions these past few seasons, I know he's kind of older, but I mean, yeah, I think that this is a division that's kind of wide open for the Texans to go back and win. I know they didn't win it last season, but again, we kind of covered this a lot this offseason, but I don't really think the Jaguars got better. I actually argue they probably got worse with their defensive losses. So, yeah, I think this is the Texans division to go out and win as long as that running game can be productive. I don't think you have to ask too much of C.J. Stroud. Obviously, he still has to play good. He can't be the same player he was in the playoffs last year or at spurts in the last year. So I am really interested to see his impact and what he can bring for this team.
You know, there was a thought in my mind I wanted to go running back too. And I was thinking, hey, Kenneth Walker on the Chiefs, that'd be an interesting one. But you know what? There's two people I'm looking at, and they actually both play in the same division.
Oh, boy.
One on offense, one on defense. I feel like they've kind of gone a little under the radar. And first, to me, is Michael Pittman Jr. on the Steelers, to me. That one is what I'm looking forward to because him and DK, let's see how that goes. But also, just with Pittman, I feel like he's been such a fringe wide receiver of is he great or is he good? Because you know he's good, but there's some moments where you go, he can look like he can be a top 10 wide receiver in the league, and there's some weeks you go, where is he on the field? Right? And I cannot wait to see how he works in a Mike McCarthy-led offense. Rodgers, Metcalf, how that's going to go with him as well, how that's maybe going to open up the offense a little more. I'm looking forward to seeing someone who hasn't really been talked about as a free agent acquisition coming in and maybe changing the Steelers a little bit and helping out the pass game, because it's always been an issue is who's going to catch the football. Been an issue for them for probably since Antonio Brown left in 2019. Probably since then, probably 7 years now. It's been kind of that Chase. Chase Claypool, nice. That's for some reason I thought of my mind. That's one of the wide receivers again.
There you go.
My other one, Baron, look in the same division. After all the Max Crosby stuff that happened, Trey Hendrickson moving from Cincinnati to Baltimore. I'm wondering how that changes the pass or the pass attack on defense for the Ravens, how he can interrupt the likes of his former teammate Joe Burrow, the likes of maybe a Shadur Sanders or Deshaun Watson, who's going to start in Cleveland, Aaron Rodgers. How are they going to use Trey Hendrickson? In my opinion, they need to win this division. This is their division to lose.
Right.
They need to have someone like him be a big key part in that. How is he going to help?
Yeah.
Those are my two I'm looking forward to, both in the same division. Also, the AFC North, we know to always be kind of competitive. So I think that's two of them I'm looking at, especially in a division where it's not closed wraps at all on who maybe is going to be first place. I think it's going to be a little fun with them.
Yeah. If I could give you, I mean, we could briefly touch on the Kenneth Walker situation. I know I've alluded to it on Instagram and all that good stuff, but I definitely think this is the best running back Patrick Mahomes will have at his disposal. Again, we talked about, like I just said, good defense, good run game takes pressure off your quarterback in the passing game, and especially with a dual threat guy like Patrick Mahomes. Again, the biggest Kenneth Walker question is health. How much availability can he give you? Can he stay on the field, be productive, and be that Super Bowl MVP caliber player that we know him to be? I know a lot of people, especially a lot of Seahawks fans, like to dismiss that, he split carries, he's injured. But again, he won Super Bowl MVP for a reason. I would say he was your most impactful offensive player throughout the entire playoffs. I don't really think you beat the Rams in the conference championship without him. I bet you, again, I know he had a great game against the Patriots, but I think they still win that game without him. But again, I don't think you make it there without him. So I think that is really interesting to watch as well. And yeah, kind of if you want to stay on the terms of new players, go one more defensive player, and I know this is, I'm sure everyone's been talking about it, but what does Myles Garrett give this Rams team? Obviously, he is an old player. I forget how old. I think he's around 32, 31, something like that. But again, he's Myles Garrett, one of the greatest defensive players of all time. But yeah, what can he give this Rams team? Obviously, he's going to make that defensive line better. He demands double teams. That leaves room for your other really good defensive players to get off their blocks and get to the quarterback. So how much of an impact does he give this Rams defense? Well, I guess along with Trent McDuffie coming in and helping that secondary that I think a lot of people would say was not very good, at least in the cornerback section for the Rams. So yeah, definitely bolstering that defense to go out and win a Super Bowl. Again, I expect this team to be in the Super Bowl just based on the roster they have, but it's kind of seen a trend where the best roster in the league week one doesn't always make it to the postseason. So we'll see how the Rams fare.
There you go, Baron. 31% of this league will have a new head coach for the first time there. I will give you a rundown of these 10 coaches, just to remind you who they coach and, of course, who they are.
Right.
Joe Brady with the Buffalo Bills, Jeff Hafley, Miami Dolphins, John Harbaugh, New York Giants, Clint Kubiak with the Raiders, Mike LaFleur with the Arizona Cardinals, Mike McCarthy with the Steelers, Jesse Minter with the Ravens, Todd Monken with the Browns, Robert Saleh with the Tennessee Titans, and Kevin Stefanski with the Atlanta Falcons. Baron, I'm going to hit you with a double question here.
Yeah.
You have to give me a buy. I can do 3 questions, but first, 2. Give me a buy on a first-year head coach and a sell on a first-year head coach.
Yes. Sell will be easy. I do not like Mike McCarthy at all to the Steelers. I don't think, again, I know you could say this about a lot of people, but I do think he is the Doc Rivers of the NFL. You take away that good championship team he had with the Packers, he doesn't see a lot. Again, he's made some postseason runs, but he doesn't have a ton of postseason success. You look at his stint with the Cowboys, and you could argue that's just the Cowboys culture, but never making it past the second round, despite having teams that won 10-plus games a lot of seasons. I just don't like this for a team that, and again, you say this a lot, talk about a team being stuck in mediocrity like the Steelers have been for a long time, and that's probably why they moved off Mike Tomlin. This move to me just feels the exact same. We know that Mike Tomlin was able to win when he has some talent around him, doesn't have a ton of postseason success outside of one Super Bowl win. And it just kind of sounds like this hire was to kind of appease your 42-year-old quarterback who's retiring at the end of the season. Like, he's made it known this is his last season. There's going to be a giant retirement tour, so we'll see how much of a distraction that is for the roster. But again, this is a team that just feels like it's going to be the exact same as it was last season, right? You have aging stars both on offense and defense. You mentioned the Michael Pittman trade. Obviously, he's going up with DK Metcalf. Both receivers are 31 years old this season. Again, that's kind of an age we start to see receivers play decline. So how much do they still have left in the tank? And then it's just kind of being bridged by younger guys coming in. You look at defensively, they have defensive stars, Cameron Hayward, TJ Watt, 2 legendary defensive players, 2 legendary Steelers defensive players. But again, how much do they have left in the tank? Cameron Hayward kind of had a productive season last year. TJ Watt, didn't hear his name much, so I can't really speak to it. I think he might have missed some time to injury. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I mean, availability is key. You got to stay on the field. There's only 17 games. You miss 2 or 3, that's impactful. And I do like the younger players they have on their team. I like Joey Porter Jr. I like Logan Wilson. That's the guy from NC State. I like who am I forgetting? I like the Jeremy Bernard draft pick as well. I think that's a guy who can be an impactful receiver, but he's just hidden by so much veteran depth right now. A guy like Jalen Ramsey who moved to safety. Like, what does this team just have? It just feels like they're going to be the exact same. And I think Mike McCarthy might not be fired by the end of this season, but if he can't do much with this roster in 2 years, I think he's gone. I think this is just, again, I don't know what this hire is. It doesn't feel like it's a long-term replacement. And a guy I do like to buy, I know this is ironic, but we're in a stay-in division as well. I like Jesse Minter to the Ravens. I like a defensive mind with a guy like Lamar Jackson. I know that's kind of been John Harbaugh's bane when he was with there. Like the Ravens have had some good defensive units, but there's always been points where it's broken down and just looked like it has holes. I think this is a guy who comes in, really bolsters up a defense like we've seen in the past 2 seasons. Good defenses win you championships. So pairing that with an electric quarterback like Lamar Jackson and with the defensive talent this Ravens defense has, I think you'll see this team, like you said, right back on top of the division after a down year.
Now, Baron, in the last 11 years, 12 coaches have been fired after 1 year. That has also been true since 2021. At least one coach has been fired after 1 year. Just to run you down on those coaches, Pete Carroll was the lone one last year. Antonio Pierce, Gerard Mayo, both in 24. Frank Reich in 23. Nathaniel Hackett and Lovie Smith in 2022. Baron, do you remember David Coley with the Houston Texans? Of course, you remember Urban Meyer in 2021 as well, both those guys in 21. There's been a first-year head coach firing at least one time. If there's one guy to be fired after their first year, Baron, who do you think it is? I think you might know who it is, but who do you think it is? I can point you to one which would go off what your predictions have been.
I mean, I would probably still say Mike McCarthy. I mean, I just think Aaron Rodgers is leaving. This seems like a hire kind of just to appease him because that's his guy. And if he doesn't show success, which with this team, which I don't think he will, then what's the point of keeping him around? Obviously, I think his saving grace is the Steelers don't really like to move off of head coaches like that. Obviously, they kept Mike Tomlin around after a lot of people thought it was his time, and they didn't really pull the trigger on him until it kind of just felt like there's no kind of saving this. So I want to say him, but I don't know. I think I know who you're gonna say, so you can just say it.
Baron, you have the Dolphins at 0-17 this year. Jeff Hafley is taking over, which already from just what has been in the air. He was the Packers defensive coordinator when he was hired to be the Dolphins head coach. Some people not were raising eyebrows, but they were being like, how does Jeff Hafley really fit? And since you have the Dolphins at 0-17, would that be a first-year firing for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just don't – again, I kind of foot in the same boat. No one expects this team to really do much. I think you might get some of the benefit of the doubt there. Again, unless Miami's – front office is that delusional they think he's going to make them a playoff team or at least competitive, but I think he might get some benefit of the doubt just with this roster is not expected to win anything, and again, we know this is an organization who is not afraid to tank. They've been on record saying that they are willing to lose games if it increases their draft positioning. So if he's we know with the whole Brian Flores thing, they'll tell their coaches just to lose games. So if he plays along with the front office, I don't think they'll move off of him in a year, but I could definitely see it happening. I just don't think situationally, just with the roster they have, I think he'll get some benefit of the doubt and he'll at least stick around for 2 years. Because, again, I don't think anyone expects him to really come in and make this roster competitive because I don't think any coach can make this roster competitive, to be honest. So,
yeah, it's been that with a couple teams and they still got fired. Now,
I have one for you, though. While we're on the topic of head coaches, though, which head coach are you most interested or intrigued to kind of see perform this season?
Out of all the first years or of any coach?
Or just a coach right now. Yeah, the ones we've been talking about, the ones on new teams this year. Because I have 3 I could pick from.
Oh, I have a couple. First, I'm going to go big or go home. I'm going to say John Harbaugh with the New York
one of mine.
Giants.
Yep.
I think that, to me, is the biggest one because we're looking at the New York Giants here and we go, hey, they can break out. This can be a team that, like I said, can maybe even go 500 or even push a wild card spot. And then you go all the way back down to the New York Giants could win 5 to 6 games this year. Exactly. There's still a lot of holes on this team that can a coach like Harbaugh figure it out? I don't know. Right. To me, I think this team has so much fluctuation. You can maybe point at, can an experienced NFL head coach take over the reins? Or a guy who's been at one job his entire NFL career as a head coach, is that he's not really used to much change. Kind of been around the same camaraderie the entire time. So is that going to be part of the system? That's
Mm-hmm.
one I'm interested in. Another one I'm interested in, Clint Kubiak on the Las Vegas Raiders. I
Okay.
think that's me I'm interested in because there's a lot of new on that team. You got yourself a new quarterback. You got yourself a new head coach. You got yourself, I think it's more of a turning of the tide in Las Vegas. And I'm interested to see how much he can do with that team, how much youth there is on the team, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Can he get Ashton Genty going? Can he get Fernando Mendoza going? How are the
Right.
wide receivers going to look under Fernando Mendoza? Kind of that angle as well. If I have to go three as well, you can quickly pitch your three. My third one, to be honest, I don't want to say it because you're not a big fan of him, but I'm interested in Robert Saleh to the Tennessee Titans
That was one
because
of mine too.
to me, we know how bad his first kind of experience was as a head coach with the New York Jets. But to me, I go, he coached the New York Jets, right? Like
Right.
the New York Jets is not really a successful franchise to go to. It's usually just always going bad.
Right.
So I'm interested to see how a second head coaching job does, especially after you gain the experience of a first one, especially how great he was as the 49ers defensive coordinator,
Mm-hmm.
how he can do maybe with the Tennessee defense and offense that just spent a loads of money not on great players, but on just filling the roster.
Yeah.
And again, second year quarterback Cam Ward, how is that going to look under, new running back in the system, under a couple new wide receivers,
Mm-hmm.
especially Carnell Tate? How is that going to look? Robert Saleh has my interest.
That was one of mine as well. Again, I think with being paired with a guy like Brian Dable as your offensive coordinator, that's much beneficial compared to what he had with the Jets. And I think people forget that first kind of season he had with the Jets when they were, I don't think they were a 10 plus win team, but they were very close to 500. Zach Wilson, for better or worse, kind of looked good. Garrett Wilson kind of came out. Brees Hall had a good season. That defense was really good for the Jets with Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed. I forget the other guys, but I mean that Jets defense was not something to really joke about like it had been of years past. So I do think he has the capabilities to be a good head coach if things just go his way, right? Obviously, you're coming to another rebuilding team. What can you offer them long term? And it'll just kind of wait and see how that works out. I was going to say John Harbaugh as well. So the third team I kind of wanted to talk about is your Atlanta Falcons and Kevin Stefanski. This is a guy who, again, you look at some of his time that 1 year with Baker Mayfield, they did make the playoffs. They had good defenses. They've had good defenses most of his career. So what does he bring this Falcons team who's very young but looks like they're kind of again, a division that's very wide open. This is a Falcons team that actually tied the division winner in terms of record last year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the last team, New Orleans Saints, only being one game away from that tie as well. So a wide open division, and a very young offense, lots of good playmakers around the ball. Just go briefly into it. You got what is his name? Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. Why am I forgetting the receiver's name? Drake London. You got Jahan Dotson in there now. So what does this quarterback look like? I think it'll probably be Michael Penix coming out. So what can he give you? And if not, what can Tua give you? But this defense, young. Again, James Pierce, 10 sacks as a rookie, 10 and a half. Yeah, I like this Atlanta team. I think they are poised to win this division if things go their way. So what can Kevin Stefanski give them?
Yeah, I am not as high on
I know.
Kevin Stefanski. I also just think this Falcons team is a lot of, what is it? A lot of flash, but not a lot of not a lot of cleanliness, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Like James Pierce Jr. suspended, right? They got to remember that. Jalen Walker's on the team, Avion Terrell and AJ Terrell, both brothers. You still have Jesse Bates. His age is getting up there. I think the linebacking core is absolutely going to need someone to step up. Especially because we lost Caden Ellis. So we're going to need someone to step up and make some plays. Offense has a lot of flash and pizzazz, but they actually need to put it together. Right. So can Kevin Stefanski be the guy that actually puts it together? We'll see. We will see. Now,
moving on.
Another one. Two more, Baron, I have for you.
All right.
Make this one as well. I think it's going to be pretty easy. Baron, it's going to be the first time the Bills are playing in Highmark Stadium. Highmark Stadium being the one new stadium in the NFL this year. Very nice stadium with the bowl. Still going to be outside, so snow is going to be effect, at least on the field. Baron Baron. I'm going to run through the Bills' home schedule. And the Bills are a good team this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to ask you when they get their first win. I'm going to ask you what team is going to earn or give the Bills their first loss at Highmark Stadium if that happens in the regular season this year. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Thursday Night Football, they play Detroit. Then they play the Los Angeles Chargers, the New England Patriots, the Baltimore Ravens, the Miami Dolphins. Thursday Night Football, they play the Kansas City Chiefs. Saturday Night Football, they play the Chicago Bears December 19th. They play the New York Jets in their final home game.
That's pretty tough. Out of conference schedule. I could
I'll go
see
through it
them
again.
lose again. If they don't, I could see them losing to the Lions.
Their first game there.
I could see that happening. If that doesn't happen, I would probably say the Bears.
You think they beat the Chiefs?
I do. They've always beat the Chiefs at their
The
stadium.
Ravens?
Yeah, I think that again, those are the games that like they know those teams. They're always ready to play them. To me, the Bills or the Lions at the Bills or the Bears at the Bills, those seem like trap games to me. I think that again, and I'm very high on the Lions this season. New coordinator switches. This team is looking to get back on top, a fourth place schedule, all of that. But this is not a fourth place team they're playing, obviously. But yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs, big contract year. What does he want to prove to everyone? And if this defense can kind of hold out, I know they lost Tyrion Arnold, but this is still a good defense. They have probably two of the best safeties in the league. They have a good defensive line led by Aiden Hutchinson, who I think will also be a sneaky defensive player of the year candidate. He's going to get a lot of sacks. And, yeah, I just like this Lions team a lot. I could see them beating the Bills. If not, though, I would probably say the Bears. I don't think it'll be an AFC team.
Now. Anything else you want to say about Highmark Stadium or no?
I do like the fact that it still has outside elements. I know that's a thing that the NFL and all these new stadiums kind of move away from, mainly to improve the fan experience. But, I mean, like you said, snow games
They
is
do
part
have
of
the
the fan.
roof around the fans.
Yeah, but snow games are part of the fan experience. I do think it will be nice to see snow on the ground when they play in Buffalo, because that almost happens almost every season. So. But yeah, if it helps keep the fans a little warmer, maybe even the team a little warmer, and still get those snowy elements, I'm all for it. So I'm excited to see.
Now, Baron, last one I want to go with, and then maybe that will be it. The most obvious firsts of firsts are your first year players, your rookies. Baron, without mentioning an Eagles player, who are you most excited to see play football as an NFL rookie stepping up from college or from the international program to their first year in the NFL?
I mean, this kind of feels like a give me, but I really want to see Fernando Mendoza. Obviously, this is a quarterback class who no one was really high on coming out of college. You saw guys that, I mean, it was at the start of the offseason, it was said it was going to be really good, being led by guys like Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik, maybe even a guy like Lenore Sellers. All three of them had pretty bad seasons. I know Cade Klubnik went in the fourth round. Garrett Nussmeier went, I believe, seventh round, sixth round, and Lenore Sellers obviously took one more year to go back to college and improve his stock. And yeah, I don't think anyone, at least in the postseason, had a guy like Fernando Mendoza being the first overall pick. Obviously, he had a lot of success with Indiana. He seems to be a very well-coached player, very coachable, open to learning. He has a very good fundamental, I would say, just pocket present quarterback fundamentals, knows how to read defenses, throw from the pocket. He can even get mobile if he needs to, but he just doesn't seem like that traditional first round pick, right? Not that big, like dual threat guy who can beat you on the ground, beat you in the leg, beat you with his leg, or beat you in the air, beat you on the ground. So I'm interested to see how his skill translates to being the first overall pick, and if he can bring this Raiders team any success.
I'm going to jump in with my opinion here.
Mm-hmm.
One that I'm really interested in is someone that there's an argument that they slipped in the NFL draft, but then traded up for to America's team in Caleb Downs of Dallas Cowboys, right? I'm
Hmm.
interested in how Caleb Downs is going to play. Also, the first game being the New York Giants Sunday Night Football. How it always really is kind of the NFL feels like they're always the first Sunday night matchup of the NFL. How can Caleb Downs play as a Dallas Cowboy after Jerry went up and traded for him in a position where I thought he was going to go maybe 5 or 6 and went all the way and fell a little bit, and then of course Jerry Jones making the move up to go get him. I'm
Right.
interested to see how that goes for Caleb Downs. Um, I won't ask about any rookie downfalls because, well, we're hoping they all play well. Well, most of the time,
Hmm.
there's some guys you probably don't want to see play well in your division rivals.
Right.
But yeah, is there anybody else that you look forward to, uh, at a first year position, whether that be whether that be a first year player coming off a draft or a trade or a free agent signing? Anybody else?
I am interested to see Hakeem Mesidor.
Oh,
Obviously, a guy drafted to the Chargers, 25 years old, coming into the league. A lot of people consider that veteran age. Spent a lot of time in college football. Easily the best defensive player Hurricanes had in that championship run. So how impactful is he, right? Obviously, he fell pretty far in the draft based on his age, even falling further than his teammate counterpart, Ruben Bain, who also, I think, kind of fell just because of his short arms or whatever the complaint there was. But, yeah, I think this is a guy who, to me, is poised to kind of come in and be the most NFL ready, right? He has the most college reps, went up against a lot of good talent at his time in college, learned from it. And yeah, I mean, obviously he went first round for a reason. He's a very, very good edge, very refined, very, I guess, cut through. Like what he is. There's not much of a project player there. So how impactful can he be from the Chargers? Obviously, he'll spend at least a season with Khalil Mack, kind of learning from one of the greats. And how impactful can he be?
fair. One I'm looking at, Baron, is actually, don't mean to touch on your division or your Eagles again, but it's someone who's actually leaving the Eagles.
Yeah.
My first thought was Jalen Phillips. That's a lot of money.
Hmm.
That is a lot of money for Jalen Phillips. So for the Carolina Panthers, I'm wondering, is that money well spent or is that a overpay? That's what I'm looking forward to as well. Somebody that's going to come off the edge in my division, and see how he plays.
I
So
don't
yeah,
think you have too much to worry about, to be honest. I mean, you can go back and watch his. I mean, I'm not. Again, this isn't a place from anger or anything, but I think if you look at the way he comes in, right, two very impactful games off rip. You don't really see much or hear much of him after the fact. And again, he had a couple good seasons with the Dolphins. Obviously, there's some injury, but I think there's a lot of stuff to be. I mean, you look at some other edge rushers off the Eagles that kind of went to new teams. First, it was Hassan Reddick. We won't get into the off the field drama about his departure, but very impactful for the Eagles. Left for the Jets. Didn't really hear much of him after that. Josh Sweat, very good for the Eagles. Left for the Cardinals not too long afterwards. After the Super Bowl, hasn't really had a lot of success. In fact, he's trying to get off the Cardinals now. And now the most recently is
I would.
Jalen Phillips, right? Kind of came in, had some success. Now he gets a much big contract extension. But again, I think a lot of that comes from just playing with a good defensive line, right? You have a guy like Jalen Carter who demands a lot of double teams. You have a guy like Jordan Davis who sometimes requires double teams. You have young guys and Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt, who hoping see them become good pass rushers this year, but definitely are good enough to get sacks here and there when they have their one-on-one matchup, especially against an unexperienced tackle. And now it's going to be Jonathan Grenard, right? We're going to have to see how he does for the Eagles, kind of being a good pass rusher for the Vikings, but how impactful can he be at this age for the money that he was also extended? But I do think part of that element comes from playing with good teammates on your defensive line. So, and I know Derek Brown's still there for the Panthers. I don't really know who else they have rushing the quarterback. So we'll just wait and see how it pans out. I would say it's an overpay as of now. I think it's one of the top 5 edge rusher contracts, and I don't know. I would not give a guy like that one of those contracts, but good player. I really liked him. Wish he came back, but obviously that was not the case. Now, before we sign off, 2 things football related. We'll see how long these takes, but summer camp, training camp's right around the corner, right? What are some of the big things you want to see come out of this summer camp, right? Because that tells us a lot of things before the preseason. We'll have joint practices. Obviously, the preseason's a couple weeks away. That's kind of exciting. But yeah, still a lot of things to kind of figure out in terms of positional battles, who's going to be starting, and we'll keep it simple. We'll just keep it with quarterbacks because those are always the big ones, big names, and there's 3 I can think of. So let me know if you can think of anything else. But we'll start with the easy one, right? With the Los Angeles Raiders, you have a veteran in Kirk Cousins who's kind of come in, signed to that contract. Does he get the start, or are they going to give the reins right off the rip to rookie Fernando Mendoza?
I think they're going to go Mendoza. I think Kirk's going to be a mentor. Ooh, throughout. Wow. There we go. Ooh. That was all the trauma of Kirk Cousins, what he's caused me.
Oh, I'm so
last couple
sorry.
years catching up to me. Yeah. I think they give it to Mendoza because they're not really in a winning position. So I think the best way to give a non-winning position quarterback room to grow is experience. Just play him, show him what the NFL speed is like, and then Kirk Cousins will help mentor along the way.
I guess there are 4, but yeah, I kind of agree for the most part. I would agree with you fully, but you kind of look at the money they gave Kirk Cousins, a little much to be a mentor. I think he might get the start initially, but if things aren't trending upwards by week 4, I would see them start to slide Mendoza in, kind of give him some unless he blows everyone away at training camp, which I'm sure he can. But I think, again, you don't want to throw him to the wolves off rip. I'm sure he'll get a lot of preseason reps, and I think the preseason will be a big tell of who they're going with if they don't outright announce it. But I don't know. I think when you look at the money and you look at the just kind of situation that for Mendoza surrounded by, doesn't have a lot of talent to step into with immediately. I think they let Kirk Cousins see if he can do anything for them, and if not, then the reins will be given over. So we'll keep it in the spirit of not a rookie per se, but a second-year guy with the Browns, right? A lot of quarterback controversy coming out of that. Is it going to be Deshaun Watson, who's coming back after his suspension and injuries? Is it going to be Shedeur Sanders, who had his ups, had his downs? Is it going to be Dylan Gabriel, who definitely had his downs, but there were some ups there as well? Yeah, I mean, this one's kind of the most wide open to most fans, I think. So what would you say?
I actually don't think this is the most wide open to me.
Oh, okay.
I think it will be Shedeur Sanders. First of all, Pro Bowl quarterback. Remember that?
Yeah, let's
do that. Would get you a laugh.
Okay.
It's going to be Shedeur Sanders to me. I think Deshaun Watson is, with everything going on with, especially the injuries now. I feel like his career's kind of ending. I really do. I think his career's kind of ending. And I think to me, you look at Dylan Gabriel versus Shedeur Sanders. Who gave the Browns more? Shedeur Sanders. I think it will be Shedeur. I'm trying to make them quick, so I think it will be Shedeur.
Yeah, I kind of think it's going to be Deshaun Watson, just based on the experience and, again, money. But, again, can change at any point. But I think you start out with Deshaun Watson. If it's trending downward, then yeah, let Shedeur take over, get some reps in. Maybe they'll even put Dylan Gabriel in at one point, get some reps in. But, again, this is a team we expect to have a top 5 pick. You're probably taking a quarterback next year anyway, so we'll just see what happens. Now,
maybe
the 2 intriguing ones, right? We'll start with probably the clear-cut favorite, and that is the Vikings. It will be between Kyler Murray, J.J. McCarthy. I think we're on the same page with this one, so we can also keep it brief, but take it away.
Kyler Murray. I think it'll be Kyler. And we both agree on that, so let's move on.
All right. Yeah. Like we said, team that's ready to built to win now. You don't have time to wait up for a guy like J.J. McCarthy. Now, finally, your Falcons, Tua Tagovailoa or Michael Penix?
I think it'll be Penix. I think when we signed Tua, it was more kind of in a backup position. We drafted Penix very controversially with that number 8 pick, and we're hoping he can still turn into something. And there's been flashes. There's been flashes
Definitely
where I'm like, okay, this guy can sling that damn rock. And to me, I think he's played in the wrong offense, especially with how strong his arm is. So I'm wondering to see what is under Kevin Stefanski. We know what Tua's game is. I think we're still kind of waiting to see what Penix's true game is, but I still think it's going to be Michael Penix, especially with the whole kind of young revolution of all the offensive draft picks we used in the first round. It'll be Penix.
I agree. Just to play devil's advocate real quick, though, Tua Tagovailoa has shown success when surrounded by good play calling and good players. We'll see if that helps his camp battle at all, but I ultimately agree. I do think it will be Michael Penix. Now, last thing we got to talk about, and it's video games, right? Who doesn't love playing video games? College football 27 is out. Madden 27 is right around the corner. Obviously, there's a lot of dispute about ratings, a lot of dispute about gameplay, how greedy the company is at taking players' money. I know that's a big topic right now. So we'll kind of stray away from college football. We know what that game is. It's already out. You can go buy it at your discretion and play it. But Madden 27, right around the corner. It's always fun to look at some ratings. I know there's been some leaks. I know the wide receivers have been leaked. I don't think some of the running backs might have been leaked. So, yeah, I just wanted to say we're not going to talk about any specifics today, but kind of just interesting. What ratings are you interested to see? Any snubs? We'll wait and find out as well. Obviously, there's always going to be disagreement with player ratings, but how accurate do you think they'll be this year? Caleb Wilson on the roster, or Caleb Williams on the roster.
To be like, I would say like 3 out of 4. I'm like, I'm pretty good with that. And there's one I'm like, what the hell? So like, yeah, I always go 3 out of 4, 70-75%. Usually I'm pretty much, I don't want to say like, yeah, they're exactly that rating, but in that ballpark of every like 1 to 2 kind of difference. And then there's somewhere I'm like, how the hell is he this high or this low? You know?
Right.
I think everyone's most interested in quarterbacks. I think everyone's always most interested in quarterbacks. It's the most glamour position and everything. Personally, I always like to see the edge rushers because then you get to see the Myles Garrett, the TJ Watt, the Micah Parsons, like those kind of guys, because there's always this battle of who's the best. So yeah, that's what I'm most interested to see is the edge rushers.
All right, and last question real quick. We'll bring it to the team ratings. What team do you think is going to be overrated in terms of you think the ratings can be too high, and what team do you think is going to be underrated? Their rating is going to be too low.
Oh, a team that I think is going to be rated too high. I feel like there's a lot of players on the Bills who might get a little bit of a high overall boost, but actually won't play like that in real life. Just because they're a really good team. And I think the opposite can be said probably about a bad team that will probably play well. I think one team that will be probably underrated, wow, that's interesting. I think the Minnesota Vikings might be a team that's underrated. I think they might be.
I think
they might have some players that dipped in overall because of their season last year, but actually are better than what the overall says. And I think they could be a fun team to play too. Yeah. So I think they might be one of those like sandbox teams that you have fun with on Play Now.
Yeah. I'll give mine real quick. Overrated, I'm actually going to go with the Chiefs. Obviously, I think Patrick Mahomes, again, he's Patrick Mahomes, but he'll probably be fringe 99 right around that area. I think he's going to have – he should, but I think we have to give him a few weeks before they can adjust it that high. I think we have to see. Yeah, I think he's going to be way too high. Again, I think this will be his last year, to be honest, but I think his rating will probably be in the high 80s, and it will not be deserving of that. The other one, and again, I know we spent earlier kind of hyping him up, but I think they're going to put Kenneth Walker too high. Again, coming off a Super Bowl MVP, I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him like a 94 or 93, and I think in reality he'd probably be around an 88. So, and defensively, we don't know what they're going to do to Chris Jones. All those other older guys. So we'll see. I think they're going to be overrated again. It's also the Chiefs. EA loves them. In terms of underrated, I was actually going to say the Vikings. So if I have to pick a new one, I am going to go. I might go with the Titans.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like that team. I don't know. I feel like there would be a lot of Cam Ward might be a little too low. I think he's going to be pretty good. I think Carnell Tate's going to be pretty good off the rip. And yeah, I mean, they don't like to give a lot of, and I know they signed a lot of like like better free agents, but not great free agents. I think their ratings will also be a little too low when you kind of look at the production they've done just because they're not big names. But I think when you put all of that together, I think their team rating is just not going to be as high as it probably should be. And again, I don't think it should be super high. I think it should be around maybe mid 70s, high 70s, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was low 70s.
There you go. Now
That is it. Yeah.
I put my hands up and I put my hands down because that will be another episode of Nothing Agreed. Thank you all so much for listening. Wow, I got a lot of recap right here. So I'm going to make it quick. Your first years for the NFL, as well as your video game stuff, what you think about it. NBA Summer League and NBA as well. Where's LeBron going to go? We're still on case with that. And of course, let me know, are you in agreement or disagreement with an MLB floor
Oh, one more.
cap of the salary? And Baron can close us out.
Who's going to win the World Cup? Let us know
Who's
down
gonna win the World
below.
Cup? That'll be another episode of Nothing Agreed. Thank you so much for listening, and peace.